All right, everybody, I am back with a brand new DC update. And as you can probably tell by the thumbnail and the title of this video, there is actually interest in having Zack Snyder's Justice League moving over to Netflix, as well as Justice League 2 and 3. And we're going to be looking at a few things today. And I'm going to address a few things at the beginning of this video, which I find interesting. And first and foremost, I wanted to make my stance very clear on James Gunn, okay? Because people think I just pile on top of him all the time. And I'm actually going to throw James Gunn a bone in this video, but I'm also going to take that bone away a little bit later because he did one of the most ridiculous posts I have ever seen on Twitter from one individual who is supposedly the co-CEO of DC Studios. But so let's address the Gunn stuff first. First of all, I want you guys to know I don't dislike Gunn as a filmmaker. I really don't. Slither is my favorite film by James Gunn. I absolutely love that movie. I probably give that movie about 4.5 out of 5 stars. I think it's a great horror comedy. It's a lot of fun. It really is. And then we have Guardians of the Galaxy, which is probably my second favorite Marvel film outside of Captain America 2 Winter Soldier. There's something about that movie that's just a lot of fun, but it does have its goofy moments in it, okay? But it's still a very fun movie, and I think it's unique, unlike anything else that Marvel has done. And then, Part 2, I didn't really care for that much. Part 3, I really enjoyed. My review for that is still up, you can see. So I can actually go into these movies and be objective without being tainted by who the person is. Okay, I can judge them based on their merits. And James Gunn is not a terrible filmmaker. But I don't think he's the right fit for DC. And here's why. Because every DC character he's brought to life on screen up to this point, he has disrespected the properties. First of all, Vigilante is nothing like he is in the comic book. Peacemaker is nothing like he is in the comic book. And you had full frontal nudity in that movie, male nudity. You had all kinds of disgusting jokes in the Suicide Squad, in Peacemaker, the TV show. I've even posted some of those videos. And then you had the Justice League show up at the end of Peacemaker, and there were F-bombs by the Justice League and all kinds of stuff going on. And it was just a very irreverent look at the Justice League, okay? And it was just dumb. And this is how I feel, and I'm justified in this. This is how I feel he thinks about DC Comics. I think he thinks of DC Comics as a joke. Until he does something to prove otherwise, I am not in James Gunn's camp. Is he capable of making a decent movie? Yes, he is. I don't think Superman Legacy is going to be it. And he's got one shot at this, guys. He does have one shot at this. He's got to make the best Superman film that has ever been made. And I don't think he's up to the task. I don't think Warner Brothers Discovery is up to the task. So I wanted to make my stance clear on James Gunn. I don't hate the guy, and I'm not going to judge him personally. People have tried to get me to do that. I'm not going to do that. I haven't judged Amber Heard personally. I haven't judged Ezra Miller personally. I'm not going to get into that kind of stuff on my channel. That's not for me to judge. That's for God to judge and the courts to judge. It's not for me to judge. I don't know these people individually, personally, and they don't know me. So I am not going to judge them. I'm always going to give people the benefit of the doubt, all right? But again, there's something that was posted that I thought was ridiculous. Now, there are a couple of things that have happened on social media over the last couple of days that do raise some eyebrows. The first being, Our Movie News. There are basically two people that I will actually watch on a semi-regular basis on YouTube. One of them is Tyrone Magnus, and the other one is Our Movie News. And I was really shocked at how quickly Our Movie News jumped the gun when this Hollywood Reporter came out, and I even called him out on it. And I told him it has nothing to do with them personally. It doesn't change my view of them in any way. They thought I was attacking them, which I was not. In fact, they thought I was making them the enemy, and I had to send a message saying that is not the case. I'm not going to go after people like that. So he had to come out and make basically an apology video yesterday, not to me, but to his viewers that maybe he did jump the gun on saying that the Snyderverse was actually over because of the things that I've already shown in my previous 4 videos. And if you guys haven't seen those, you're going to want to go back to the beginning and watch them to see all the controversy that's going on. And even Tyrone Magnus shared his video, and I'm like, damn, I wish he would have shared my video. It would help my channel because he's got millions of subscribers, which is kind of funny. But everything he talked about in that video is stuff I've already talked about in all of my videos. I am not here to follow any other YouTubers. I'm not here to I don't want my views skewed in any way. My views that I'm bringing on my channel are my views only. And I'm always going to be 100% genuine with you guys. I'm never going to turn on the DCU just because it's the thing to do. And I've made it clear that that is not going to happen. But I respect both of those YouTube channels and those individuals. I think they do a great job with what they do. I just wish, people wouldn't be so quick to, switch gears. It's not really good look, and you will never see that happen with me here on YouTube. It's just not going to happen. But let's take a look at the cool stuff that has come out over the last 24 hours. I almost wanted to do a video yesterday, but just didn't have the time to do it. So let's take a look first. We're going to look at this big Netflix news, and then we're going to take a look at this post that James Gunn did that I think is absolutely ridiculous. All right, so the head of Netflix, Scott Stuber, the head of Netflix, I want to make that very clear, just commented on the sell Zack Snyder Justice League to Netflix movement, okay? And we're going to take a look at what he said. The first part of this says, but a certain segment of the Snyder fandom have pushed the idea of Netflix. And this, well, first of all, this is another Hollywood Reporter article, okay? So this is a separate article. And it said, but a certain segment of the Snyder fandom have pushed the idea of Netflix somehow buying the rights to the Snyder DC movies and continuing that universe. Netflix's head of film, Scott Stuber, has heard those rumors. And while he doesn't throw cold water on them, politely acknowledged the obvious, telling the Hollywood Reporter, that's always tricky because you don't own it. And he's right. They don't own the IP. They don't own Zack Snyder's Justice League. They don't own that stuff. They have to license it out, which helps Netflix and also helps Warner Brothers Discovery. And this is why we saw the big dump of movies the other day, but Zack Snyder's Justice League is missing from that list. Then they go on to say, but he did say that there was a possibility that Snyder's DC movies could end up on the platform. And this is where things get a little bit interesting, because this is where the Hollywood Reporter is taking things out of context, because they quote all these other things, but they don't quote everything. And this is where they want to push a narrative, guys. Okay, we don't know if that's referring to DC's current, Snyder's current Zack Snyder's Justice League and his version of Batman versus Superman, because those are the versions that are missing off of Netflix, okay? He could be talking about that, but he could also be talking about Justice League 2 and 3. He said, obviously, we would like to license it at some point, Stuber said. We'd love to have it on so that fans can experience more Zack. The more Zack we have, the better we are. And he's absolutely right. Here's the one thing that is awesome about Netflix. They fully have embraced and appreciate Zack Snyder. They understand his fans, they understand their business, and they understand that people want to see his movies. And I'm telling you right now, Rebel Moon is going to be probably the biggest hit that Netflix has ever had. It is going to be huge for the platform. Yes, the more Snyder they have on there, the better off everybody is. Fans, Warner Brothers, and DC, and Netflix, okay? Here's why I personally don't think this is going to happen. Because James Gunn and Peter Safran, the co-CEOs of DC Studios, and David Zaslav, have their own sandbox they want to play in. Yes, they're going to have some Elseworlds movies, but they're not going to do anything that is a direct competitor to their version of Superman, their version of Batman. They're not going to let it happen at this point. It is just not going to happen while that regime is in power. It is just not going to happen, guys. Unless, they find it advantageous. And I think, honestly, at this stage, I think to please everybody, the best thing that Warner Brothers Discovery could do is to license them out to Netflix for them to complete Justice League 2 and 3, and then you totally pacify the Snyder fans and the DCU fans, and then you can have your version up. I would tell you that would make me a lot more excited for what they're doing. But until this story is finished, I'm not excited for anything. I want to see what was started finished. Here it is for more posts online that Netflix wants to expand the Snyderverse, prospects for more Zack Snyder content. So this is picked up everywhere. It's been talked about for the past 24 hours like crazy. All right, so let's take a look at this ridiculous post that James Gunn did. I can't help this. Here was his post. Now, it is important to note that all the DCEU films, almost all of them, have dropped on Netflix, but we don't have Zack Snyder's version of Batman vs. Superman. We definitely don't have Zack Snyder's Justice League. But he posted on here that the Suicide Squad is now on Netflix. How bizarre is this? And I even commented, we're actually going to go take a look at what I said. I said two different things on Twitter, and we're going to take a look at these. And it's just interesting. Let's look at these posts. So the first thing that I posted was, and this is directly regards to James Gunn, I said, the biggest bomb DC had until very recently. It is also sold like crap on physical media, which is 100% true. And someone had made the comment that they can't give these things out at the $5 bin at Walmart, which is pretty funny. But I also made another post, which was way more popular than this one. And this one here is the post that really irks me when I started to think about him promoting his Suicide Squad. I said, you are the co-CEO of DC Studios. There are many films that comprise the DCEU, and you only promote your film. Strange. Yeah, and everyone, that commented, agreed with me about him being a narcissist. It's a strange fact. Yeah, it's conflict of interest, everything else. You would think that he would want to do everything that is going to help the company that he actually works for. He works for Warner Brothers Discovery. He works for David Zaslav. Don't you think they're going to want to help promote all of those movies to bring in more money for Warner Brothers Studio? But no, he's concerned about his Suicide Squad movie, which is my second most hated film in the DCEU. The only film that's lower than the Suicide Squad for me is Birds of Prey. The only shining aspect of both of those films was Harley Quinn. Everything else was terrible. All right, so what do you guys think about these new revelations about Netflix and Stuber coming out and talking about all this stuff? I think it's phenomenal. It shows they understand what the fans want, and they're willing to dish it out if they're given the opportunity. So the door has not been closed, guys. It was never closed. That Hollywood Reporter article, there was an agenda behind it, and they're politely trying to push people away from this movement so that they can focus on other things. I wouldn't be surprised if, and this is all speculation on my part, but I wouldn't be surprised if, James Gunn or David Zaslav asked them to do something that would maybe help push the movement away. And it worked for about 24 hours. There were people that were defecting, and then all of a sudden, things blew up. And I covered all of that in my previous videos. So, all right, so there's my video for the day. I do appreciate the support. If you haven't already liked the video, subscribe, hit that notification bell, and you will be notified as I have new videos go up. We will see you on the next video.